Welcome into Three Questions with Ivan Maisel, where Ivan brings his insight on all things college football to the table on a weekly basis. Ivan, going to talk a little bit about the Michigan Wolverines this week. I don't want to say they had a scare at home against Maryland, but Maryland was the first formidable competition we've seen up against them to this point. Do you have any concern coming out of that game if you're a Michigan fan?
Sure, you have a little, because I think Maryland is a good team. They're certainly an explosive offense, but they're not a great team. I think the larger concern for me, JD, is that they haven't played on the road yet, and we've never, as good as J.J. McCarthy has been, and he's been very good, he hasn't started a game on the road, and he's going to one of the toughest places in the Big Ten to play.
Yeah, and the fact that it's been such a small sample size, it feels like, because who'd they play? UConn, Hawaii, Colorado State. No disrespect to those programs, but it's going to be a very different kind of competition when they get further and further into this Big Ten slate. You mentioned something about J.J. McCarthy. Obviously, him now taking over the reins from Cade McNamara. I'm sure that was a tough decision for Jim Harbaugh. But when it comes to J.J. McCarthy, what has been your assessment of him so far this season?
Well, I just talked about how he'll need poise on the road, but I think he's shown it certainly at home. And again, as you say, against lesser competition. But I don't care who you're playing against. If you complete 80% of your passes and you've got the threat of running the ball, he's averaged 6 yards a carry when he's kept it. That's something that defenses have to account for. He's playing a veteran defense against Iowa that's always good, and this year probably better than usual because it has to be. But he's done better than I expected, certainly.
It just feels like the ceiling for this Michigan team is so much higher with him at quarterback. And Cade McNamara got him over the hump, won the Big Ten, got him to the college football playoff, all that. But when J.J. McCarthy's in the game, it just feels like they're going to be able to do more things as an offense, and it opens it up for all their playmakers. And I think that's in some small part why Blake Corum was able to have the game that he had, on top of obviously the phenomenal offensive line play. But like you mentioned, got to go to Kinnick Stadium this week and go play Iowa. Jim Harbaugh talks about that program and that stadium being where top 5 teams go to die. What kind of challenge is Iowa going to present for Michigan this week?
Well, Jim's right. Iowa is 5-1 against the last 6 top 5 teams that have come into Kinnick Stadium. It's an electric atmosphere, and they play good, solid, not fancy defense. And for a young quarterback, that can be more than enough to handle. But it will be, it's a noon start. It'll be full. They'll be ready to go. And you just have to hope for Iowa's sake that they find some way to figure out how to make a first down in order to keep this game close.
Ivan, I think we are in for a very, very ugly game, kind of like 10-13 at half. Maybe it's 20-13 at the final score. I mean, it's going to be a very difficult game to watch if you're a fan of offensive football, but yeah. Iowa, with how well they play defensively, we're going to see a really good test, a really good litmus test for this Michigan program and J.J. McCarthy at this point in his career. But you have a side you like in this one. I don't want to make you pick if you don't have a side, but is there a way you're leaning right now when it comes to Michigan, Iowa?
I think Michigan will win, but I think it'll be close, and I suspect Iowa will cover. But that may be my way of having my cake and eating it too. But I think it's going to be a great game, and ugly's in the eye of the beholder. I'd love to see a good, taut 20-13 game.
Yeah, we're in lockstep there. I think the line right now is Michigan 10.5. Feels a little bit high. Maybe some backdoor action from Michigan, but I'm with you. I think Iowa ends up covering. Well, Ivan, as always, thank you so much for joining us. Safe travels this week. Folks, if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. Follow Ivan on Twitter. We do content like this, again, on a weekly basis. Ivan, thanks so much. Enjoy your college football Saturday. Hey, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.